Okay, well, here we are. You see now how this lines up with the bottom of this header that goes over the door, which will work perfect because now when you cover the top, the fabric comes down, you nail it here, and then you put this stuff on here that covers the nails called Hidem, H-I-D-E-M. And the Hidem comes right here above the opening, just above the opening. And when it gets here, it runs right over the top of this panel. This used to go, it used to have nails right at that line. So when you put the Hidem here, the nails showed. And you nailed this metal to the roof wood. Well, now the metal is fastened to the sheet metal structure that's on the inside of this cab. There, in this corner, there's a corner piece. And there's also, at this point now, there's tubing. This whole panel is, this whole cab, excuse me, has a skeleton of 3/4 inch square tubing that ties it all together. So now you can take the wood off the top, and the back and the front of the cab are still attached to each other with the wood. The wood goes down along the doorpost there. You see it behind the doorpost. It goes down and it attaches to the floor. And it attaches to that corner piece that I just told you about. That's in the corner of the cab here, where the corner from the side to the back. So now this side piece now is attached to that corner piece. So now there's no need to nail this. It's part of the structure. It's solid. I mean, it ain't, you can take the wood all out of this thing and it ain't gonna go nowhere. Scott welded this Friday, I think. And I spent a good part of the day yesterday dressing all the welds and adjusting the wood where it sits on top of the metal so that it provides a proper gap across the top of the door. You can see that's nice and even. And I used like a paint stir stick as a guide. It didn't quite fit in the front, so I sanded it until it just fit in there, and there you go. That's where it is at the back too. So now this one's attached to, this side is attached to the corner piece on this side. And we are going to, you see this is factory. It dives in at the top. We're going to make this look like this, where it goes the same shape all the way to the top. So another little modification, a little detail, dress up detail. Well, he said I spent half a day yesterday getting that wood to fit on there, and then today Scott welded the top of the two pieces of metal here, and then what he did is welded the two pieces along the top together. So then once I had the welds all dressed on the face and the inside and the bottom, I put the wood in here, blued this, drew a line across it, and filed it until it was straight. So that line that I made is an extension of this header, so that it comes straight across. So like I say, the Hidem will run along the header and go right to the back corner, wrap around the corner and go to the other side. So anyway, that's my weekend actually. And then the other thing I did this afternoon was that back board, the rear of the seat cushion, excuse me. You see there's a gap at the bottom? Because now I adjusted the cushion height. I talked to the upholstery guy and he said the gap is exactly what you want, because when he covers this, he's using 1/2 inch foam in the cover. Both the back of the seat and the cushion, the seat cushion itself, will be covered with 1/2 inch foam. So he said you need that gap, otherwise they're going to conflict with each other and try and push the back up off of the clips that hold it there. The 1/2 and the 1/2 amounts to 1 inch. So I just added a little piece to take up that extra 1/4 inch. So now we got just under 1 inch. Should work perfect. So anyway, that's my progress for this week. Talked to the painter also, and we have a schedule, a tentative schedule, penciled in schedule for end of October to bring this I got to contact him. I'm having back surgery the beginning of October. Once I'm done with that and recuperating, I'm going to contact him and we'll make a hard date. When he's going to, I don't know if he's going to take this as a unit or if he wants parts and pieces. Would suit me if he just got the body, so I could have the chassis and be finishing that while he's painting the body. But at any rate, we'll figure that out when the time comes. So later, thanks for watching. Bye. Hello there. Welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. Today is Sunday, August 4th. Well, I've been working on this stuff, trying to keep moving forward. So I got this thing ready for some lamination to build it out, about 1/8 of an inch. So it's a little proud of this surface right here. You can see that piece of wood standing right there. Way more than enough, but that was a chunk that they had at the lumberyard. So I bought it. A piece of poplar is what it turned out. Everyone seemed to think was the same, and I kind of agree. You see this bottom piece is the one I'm trying to match, and it's got that kind of green tint to it. That's the poplar. What's the word? The poplar has that green tint to it. I can't think of the word tendency or whatever. So in the meantime, I've been working on these Garnish moldings. Once again, on these early pickup trucks, this one being a 1929, they were little more than a utility vehicle. They had no intention of being nice. They were built to serve a purpose. So the finishes on them were quite crude and not very detailed at all. Nothing, nobody cared about fit and finish. So there's a lot of that going on when you're doing what I'm doing on this, when you're trying to make it look nice, as well as, modifying it, restoring it, whatever you want to call it. So fitting these things, the bottom of this mold Garnish here, it's fastened with 3 screws across the top. These doors on the 2829 Model A pickups are leftover Model T coupe doors. That's what Ford used. This is a 2627 Model T coupe door. So there's provisions in the door here for what do they call those? Captured nuts for the screws. On the top, there's captured nuts behind these screws. Coming down the side, there's captured nuts too that they probably used on the Model T, because you notice there's no place for a screw in this molding. So the bottom of the molding is held in here by an interference fit between this piece and this piece. Problem is, when you screw this piece down, it wants to go below the bottom of this vertical here. See where that joint is? Doesn't want to hold very well. So what I was doing was, been working on here for days now, is making some little fasteners that go inside this piece. This piece has a lip, like a hem, that folds on the inside. So I made a little fastener pieces that go in here and mount to one of those old screws, that were a Model T fastener, I think, so that the bottom now is attached. Even if this doesn't capture it, the bottom is attached. So I did this one first, and making those pieces, I would make it and I'd get it, the hole for the screw isn't in the center. I'd get the screw offset the wrong direction. So that was the first mistake. So make piece number 2, and I forgot I did something wrong on the second, and the third one didn't work. I think I did that 4 times before I got one that would work. And then I made the one on this side, and the 2 sides aren't the same, so it's like starting all over again when you go from left to right side. I did something wrong on the first one of those too. It's like, Jesus. Anyway, it took me like a day and a half to get these two. And then I'm done with this, and I thought, you know what? I can make something that's a whole lot simpler than what I'm doing. And I'll open these up, and I'll show you when they're opened up. So I made these yesterday. This is the fastener I'm ending up with. So that it mounts on the door like this, and that little hem latches behind here. So this would have a couple of Tech screws. And I'm going to glue it. Once I got it installed and it's where it belongs with the Tech screws, I'm going to panel adhesive these two to the door. And I'll probably leave the Tech screws in. I might grind the heads flat so there's a little more clearance. But at any rate, I'm trying not to make this a long story, but just to explain. So now I got this one done with one style fastener in the door, and finished this one yesterday, as far as the molding itself is concerned, with the style that I just showed you on the workbench, which is much better, much more secure, and yeah, much more secure. It's just a better design, a simpler, better design that's actually much more stable. What I'm not done with here is, you see this? See how that doesn't fit? And you see the little Sharpie mark there? I'm going to grind that so that the horizontal piece, this piece, fits nicely against that piece. And then what I have to do, you see the screw holes are lined up. So once this molding moves forward, the screw holes aren't going to line up anymore. And I think the way to fix that is just put a clamp on the door and squeeze the door a little bit until there's a lot of room here. There's a lot of room in this trough, way more than you need for the window. There's a lot of space around the window. So to move this 1/16 of an inch isn't going to hurt anything. It's not going to, and it's really easy too. I did it on the other door already because I fit that one already too. So that's what I'm up against. I'll fit this and install it, and I'm going to take this apart, like this whole thing apart, and like I said, and glue those pieces on, panel adhesive those fasteners on, and I'll show you what it looks like once I get it apart. So anyway, thanks for all the listening to the explanation. Okay, well, here's as good as I can get this one to fit. You see, that part's not bad. It actually looks better in person than it does in the camera. That's what you see in person. And there's what that side looks like. It's limited what you can do. The holes in the Garnish are countersunk, so the screw can only go in one place. There's no adjustment there. The fasteners for the screws are like a 1929 nutsert. They're swedged into holes in the door so they don't move. So it's very limited what you're able to adjust on this. I've got the shapes fitting better, but they don't fit perfect. But this, what I'm happy with, really happy with, that is very solid for those clips. I'm going to take the other molding, Garnish, off the door and change the clip. Put the same. These are not nearly as solid as the other one is. This one fits a lot nicer. Look at how nice that fits. And that fits. Where is it? There. That fits. This one fits a lot nicer than the other one. But the little clips I made inside the door to attach the Garnish isn't nearly as solid. Now, hopefully when I put the solid ones there, it still fits as good. Is this going to move? It could move a little bit. Yeah. So we'll have to see what it does when I change the clips. Here's what these clips look like on this side. And the idea behind this clip is to use the fastener. You see these locations? There's 1, 2, where am I looking? Yeah, 3. These locations are intended to have captive nuts inside those holes. There's one on the bottom. There's none anywhere else. Well, there's one on the bottom on this side too. Like I said, these doors are Model T doors. See, and there's 3 across the top. One there, one in the middle, and one on the on this end. They're 1032 nut inside there, square nut inside there, so it can't turn. Okay, so the idea here, these are, like I said, are Model T doors. So I guess on the Model T they had a Garnish that had 3 holes across the top or 2 holes, whatever it was, and down the sides too. When they repurposed this door and used it on the Model A, they made different moldings, so they didn't use those. The other door had no captive nuts in it other than the 3 across the top, because the Model A didn't intend to use any on the bottom. I'll show you what I'm going to replace these with. See, this is a convex curve because the Garnish has that same curve. It's got this crescent shape, a convex crescent shape that sticks out towards you. So, and it's got a hem on the inside. There. It's got a hem on the inside, see? So I made these things so the clips so they would go in that hem. And then I thought of a different method that uses a hem on each side, and it's that style of bracket. So the little raised areas go inside the hem much more, and then you put a tech screw in the middle, and then I'm going to glue them as well. So I'll use the tech screw and the panel adhesive. There you go. There's what the clips look like inside the door. I had the edge of the Garnish on this door is right here on the edge of this bracket. So I had to cut the bottom part of it off because in order to get it to slide over the bracket here, I had to cut the bottom part of the bracket off and actually skin the bottom of the Garnish, the inside of that hem so that would go over there. And there's the other side where there's plenty of room. That's what that one looks like. That's the first one I'm going to make on the other door. Okay, well, these things are permanent, I believe. Got them screwed on there. See, there's the one there on the back side of the window. And there's the one on the front side of the window on the passenger side. I got them screwed on, and I also glued them. Did the panel adhesive treatment. So they're double fastened. There's the ones on that side. I could put the Garnish molding on right now, but I'm going to hold off on that because I'm afraid if any glue oozed out and whatever and that hem contacts the glue, I might accidentally stick the Garnish molding to the clip, and I don't want that. I don't want to have to fight to get it off or have to cut it to get it off. I'm going to let these dry. It's 2 o'clock right now, roughly. It was when I put them on there. So by 6 o'clock tonight, they'll be dry as far as the instructions say. I'm not going to mess with them now. I won't put the stuff back on there until tomorrow morning. That's soon enough. All right, so now it's on to the next step, which I believe is going to be playing carpenter with this. I got to build this out 1/8 of an inch so that it hangs out over the top of that metal back there. See this metal right here? I want the wood to be out flush with the face of that metal, or maybe a tiny bit proud of it. So when I put the Hitem on, the Hitem wants to deflect the water over the top of the metal instead of having the water run down between the metal and the wood, or inside the metal, in other words. I want the water to run out over the top of the Hitem and out past the edge of the metal. And it'll do that over the door too. The door already is a little under that wood. Because I'm not running gutters on this. I don't intend this to be out in the weather, in the rain. Probably won't even wash it with a hose. So I don't think this thing's ever going to see a bath. I mean, you know, with a hose. We'll see. But at any rate, that's the plan. And that's the next step. I'm going to make some laminate thickness pieces of wood that I can glue on there in layers, so I can, because that thing isn't straight and it's got a big radius at the top. So I'm going to see what I can do to glue something on there so that I can extend it out and shape it so that when I put the top on, it looks nice and round. Later. Okay, well, there's what it looks like installed. There's the garnish molding. You can see the margins around it, and I'll show you up close how it looks in a second. I'll go over to the door, but whoops, yeah, that's no good. You can see that's what it looks like when it's all installed. They're both on there now. The clips, the little tracks that I made to catch the bottom of the garnish molding are fastened. I ground the heads almost all the way off of the screws, the little tech screws. I made them flat so that you can still see that there's a head there, but they're almost gone, almost flat, really thin. I just wanted to get the hump off in case it was interfering, you know, hitting the back of the molding a little bit. I think it was clearing, but I ground them down quite a bit. Took a, what do you call those, flap disc? I'll show you what this side looks like from the other door too. Hang on. Go for a stroll around the truck here. And there you go. There's the other side. You can see the margin on that one. See, that side's looking pretty good. So anyway, like I said, that's what they look like. Now, you know what I'm going to do? One of my next, I got not 2 or 3 more things I want to do. You see how this doesn't come all the way over to the door jamb? And the piece behind it does. I modified the piece behind it to take up that gap. But now that that's gone, this one, the factory piece, is just the way you see it. I'm going to modify that one too. I've gone to all this trouble. There's no sense not doing that. So I'm going to add a little piece on the side of the copper colored piece so that it takes up all that gap that's there on both sides too. You know, it's just, once this is all painted one color, you're hardly going to see that. But, you know, I'm doing that everywhere else on this thing, so I just as well do it there too. But anyway, that's one of the things I'm going to add that on my list. Going to add that on my list. I put another, I got to adjust this, what do you call this? Dovetail, that thing. I got to adjust that. I got that on there, and I found today, when you close this door, there's a little resistance. Right here, there's a little resistance. And I found out why. I looked into it, I spent some time, and the dovetail's a little bit low. So I'm going to just got to go down not quite an eighth. What it's doing is it's lifting the door as it shuts so that it throws this off, this alignment off. I've got the door gap at the top perfect now, but I didn't realize that the dovetail was lifting the door a little bit. So now when I make the door sit like it's hanging there, not being lifted, it's going to screw up that gap a tiny bit, but not enough where I'm going to mess with it. Because it involves that wood on the top, and I can't change that anymore. It's too far. I'm too far down the road to change that. So that's going to stay. But it's still, I tried it. I took the dovetail off and looked at it. It ain't bad. One last thing. Hanson, if you're still watching these videos, and you know who I'm talking about, 265 Chevy, do me a favor and put a comment. I watched your last video again the other night. I think it's 2 years old. And since YouTube no longer gives us a way to PM, to private message, I guess we're stuck with doing it this way, or, you know, comments or something like that. So do me a favor, if you're still watching these videos, put a comment on it and let me know what's happening, how your world looks these days. Are you finished with either of those 2 apartments that you needed to renovate, and you know what's going on. Hope you're in, well, healthy. But anyway, let me know. Give me some update if you don't mind. Like I said, I'm just trying to keep in touch and know how you're doing. So anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Please comment and like. Anyway, talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.